Do you identify with a cultural background and heritage?
My background's Italian. My parents were from Calabria, Cosenza in Italy. Traditions, lots of traditions. We used to do tomato sauce, and we used to always get together with family. Christmases, and like everybody used to get together. What else? Soccer was a big part in our family. Most of my neighborhood, it was all Italian, and I don't know. Culturally, we did a lot of things together. Like when my dad used to do wine, and we used to get the neighborhood all together to, I guess, taste it. And doing tomatoes too, we used to get a few neighbors together. We used to do a lot together, even building forts when we were younger.
Were you born in Canada or abroad? Did you or your parents or grandparents in any generation emigrate to Canada?
Yes. I was born in Canada, and yes, my parents immigrated my father in 1959, and my mother in 1957. I'm not sure when my grandmother came, but I'm pretty sure it was after.
Did you grow up speaking a language or dialect other than English or French at home?
The Italian language, is spoken all the time at home. It was a southern accent from Calabria. I guess they called it a little bit of rough Italian, but every city had their own dialects.
Did you grow up in or live currently with an ethnic community of your own heritage or of a different heritage?
Yes, I grew up in an Italian neighborhood. Not throughout my adulthood did I stay within the community of Italians, but I did afterwards. I do belong to an Italian neighborhood now.
Did your community have various sports offered for youth participation in a variety of team sports for recreation or competitive?
Yes, in my neighborhood, they offered mostly organized soccer. Never played organized hockey because we never knew of hockey back then. Growing up in an Italian family was too dangerous, but soccer apparently wasn't too dangerous. I found out that it was dangerous, but I played. Okay, cut that off. I don't know what I'm saying there. Yeah, and also growing up in an Italian community, especially in my household, it was pretty tough to join anything at once because there was no money back then. You know, my dad was more into paying off his mortgage than letting his kids have a little bit of fun.
Did you or someone you know want to play sports? Were you able to join a team in your community?
Yes, I was able to join, all because back then sports didn't cost too much. I don't think my parents ever paid for me to play soccer. But yeah, my brothers wanted to play, but I guess they weren't good enough or didn't have the desire for it. But yeah, I knew some people that couldn't afford to play. It was sad, really, but what are you going to do? Those were the times.
Were young girls encouraged to play sports? Were they able to join a women's team or join a co-ed team in your community?
No, not usually in my community because the girls in my community went to school and stayed home with their mothers and learned how to cook and clean, and I don't think they had opportunity back then. It's a shame.
Were you, young girls, or the person discussed in this interview encouraged or discouraged by your family or community to participate in team sports?
No, actually, my dad encouraged me to play soccer. Being from Italy, they love that sport, and I guess I was his last chance, and I did what I he put me in at. I think I was 6 years old and didn't look back. So I thank him for that.
How often did you play? Were you on a recreational or competitive team? Were there competitive available for girls in the community?
Yes, I started when I was, like I said, 6 years old. And I played competitive when I was 10 to about 18. Almost making it to University of California. But as you know, back then, no money, and it was a full ride, but parents couldn't afford it, and you needed to stay home. And no, I don't think there was opportunity for women to play sports back then. I think they were, the men played sports and the women cooked and cleaned, I guess. For most of my young age, from 7 till I was 18, I used to play for a team called Downsview Soccer Club. It was organized by Italians, and most of the teams represented Italian families. Yeah, we went to the Canadian Cup. We won that. There was only one tournament we didn't win. That year we went undefeated, but there was only one tournament. It was the Robbie, which is still, I guess it's still going on. That's great. Then I played as I was 26, 27. I pick up soccer, you can say, but it was pretty competitive. Yeah, as you know, soccer's they think it's a sissy sport when people watch it, and I really think it's a tough sport. Remember, it's 45 minutes each half, so, and there's no rest or wait, hold on. There's no rest in between periods. Well, there's a 10-minute rest period, but soccer is a very dangerous sport. Like in 1976, they broke my tibia. I remember his name quite. They're Wexford, and his name was Kyle. And back then we didn't use shin guards, or I think they're very important now. But back then we didn't have shin guards, but apparently he had shin guards, and I went to slide across to save a goal, and he broke my leg. And because of that, we won. I guess we won the most important game, is the Ontario Finals.
How was it growing up in a strict household? How did your family see you in the sense of being an athlete compared to your siblings?
Yeah, growing up with my parents, they're quite strict, but soccer was my dad's sport, and he really liked it. So he was okay with me playing soccer, but not lying. There was one time that I lied, and it was a very, very important game, and I got punished. I couldn't go to that game. And it was one of Eastern Border talent tournaments. Growing up in a house with my parents was tough at times. Sometimes it was fun, but most of the time you had to deal with, especially what my dad had to say, especially at dinner. If you didn't finish your dinner or whatever, I used to wait till my dad used to leave the table so my mom can take my dinner away, because I really didn't like it. But that was and growing up in a house being punished, that was another thing. My dad would put us on a line, me and my brothers, and he would say, stand there, it'll be worse for you if you run. while my two brothers used to stand there and take it, I used to run. But getting home, my mom used to get into because I was her soccer player, right? And she wanted me to be okay with everything. Back when I was growing up in school, I mean, sure, my parents wanted us to go to school, but my dad went up to grade 3 in Italy, and over here it was kind of the same thing, but my dad he didn't care about school, so you had to make up your mind, go to work, or you go to school. And I chose to go to work, but then I chose to go to school because I knew it was the right thing to do. And growing up with my brothers, one of them played football, but they were more interested in just watching TV and eating their snacks. And I was always wanting to not be at home and always playing sports. I was a big sports player. I always played anything, anytime, as long as I was allowed to play it. But my brothers weren't interested in playing sports.
Being an athlete yourself, did you portray and emphasize sports to your children?
Yes, I thought it was very important. Right from, I guess, when they were born, actually, I couldn't wait to get a hockey stick in their hand or a soccer ball or a baseball. It was open to anything they wanted to do in sports, because I think it was very important growing up with that, because I did have that in a way, but not the freedom that I could give them.
Do you have any concluding remarks?
Yes, relating to women in sports, I think that I'd rather watch women playing hockey or basketball or volleyball, because they put effort into it and they're not getting paid. But these spoiled hockey players and football players and basketball players, baseball players, they're all making tens of millions of dollars, and these women, for some reason, they don't get paid fairly. Or I think it should be fair for them to get paid evenly.